All right, next let's go ahead and continue with our getWeather function. So next we want to declare a variable, const variable response. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our API call in there. Dot JSON. All right. Okay, and now we're going to do a if-else statement. So to take care of the rest of the function. So if city and country are inputted correctly, we're going to say this dot set state and we're going to do all those parameters that we talked about on that API. So we're going to do temperature, and we're going to say response.main.temp. And the reason we have to say main.temp is that's what it looked like. That's what the parameter looked like when we went back to the docs. So here's the parameters, and the temp was main. Let's find it. Here it is, main.temp. So that's why we have to do that. Okay, so we're going to go back through all this documentation, and then you can find out what your parameters are, and then you can put them in correctly. So we've got the temperature. Next we're going to do city, and I believe this one was just name. That was the parameter, so response.name. And then the country, that one was sys.country, so we'll say response.sys.country. Next we're going to do humidity, and I think that was just main.humidity. Main.humidity. And the next one we're going to do is pressure. Again, that was the same, response.main.pressure. And the next one was icon. Now this one is going to have an array of possible icons. So we're going to have to put an array in here and set it at 0. And dot icon. All right. Okay, and the next one is description. This is the conditions of our weather, and again this one's also going to have an array, and this one came back as weather with the array and dot description. Okay, and there we go. And then finally we're going to finish off with our error, and that one we're going to leave as an empty string. And we are good. Okay. Okay, let's finish off with our else statement. And so we'll say this dot set state, and we're going to put error. All right, please fill out input fields. Okay, dot dot dot. Looks good. Okay, so this is so that if somebody doesn't fill out the input fields correctly, we'll have an error. We'll have a return of this. That's this. That'll be the else of our if. Okay, so our if the city and the country are filled out, then we're going to change the state. The state is changing, and it's going to be grabbing this from the API, all that information. And if it isn't, else, then we're going to have please fill out input fields. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to create a we're going to create a variable called load weather in our form because we want to get that information from the form and bring it in to the render so we can see it. So we need to, so our function getting the weather, we need to be able to see it. So we need to bring it into the render. And we're going to do that using props from the form component. So let's go in here and let's call it load weather. And it's equal to this dot get weather, which is the name of our function. Okay. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our form now, and we're going to go ahead and add that into our form. Okay. So we just have to say on submit equals, and then we're going to put in the props dot load weather, and that should do it. Okay. All right, so now the next thing we need to do is, if we go back to app.js, in our render we've got our heading, we've got our form now. Now we've got to work on our forecast. All right, we're heading over to forecast.js, and then we're going to start building up that component. All right, so we're going to say import React from React. All right, now let's start with another functional component. So let's create a variable called forecast, and just like before, we'll have our props, and then we'll have our arrow function. Whoops. And okay, we're going to return. All right, so let's see. Let's return a div. And inside that div, we're going to add, let's see, a paragraph. We want the name of the item that we're grabbing from the API, and we need to have the props. Okay, so let's see. The first one we're going to do is location. The location is the city and the country. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Props.country and double and props.city. And let's add a paragraph with the word location, and then we're going to get our props.city. There we go, and then a comma, and then props.country. Okay, and then we have our final paragraph tag. Okay, so it'll say location, and then it'll say the city, and then the country. So we're putting in our our variables, our city variable and our country variable, and that's going to show up. Okay, now we got to do the same thing for all the other ones. All right, so we're going to do, next we're going to have temperature. props.temperature, and let's see, the only thing we need is the temperature. So we can just go right into our paragraph and say temperature with a colon, and then we have to bring it in with the curly braces. Okay, props.temperature. And then it'll show up. Okay, that looks good. Okay, let's do it again for the next thing. And the next thing is humidity. Props.humidity, and let's do our paragraph. Say humidity, then we'll bring it in. And then and then we got to do our paragraph, end paragraph. Okay, looks good. All right, got to do it again for the next thing. What's the next thing? The next thing was pressure. Oh yeah, I forgot about pressure. Okay, so we've got our props.pressure, and do our paragraph again. And then inside the paragraph, we're going to say pressure. And then we'll bring it in with our curly braces, props.pressure. And that should be it for that one, right? Okay, and the next one is a little bit more interesting, because the next one we were trying to bring in the icon. So here's what we're going to do. Props.icon. And then we're going to do our and. And now what we're going to do is, if we just say props.icon, we will get a it'll be like just an ID from the API. So we want the actual image, so we need to put an image tag in here. So here we go, image. Okay, and the tag is from the API, and I'm going to type it out. I went and grabbed it. So, well, let me show you how I found it. So let's see. We go back here. All right. So let's see. Now, how did I find it? Icons. There's the icon. So I looked around for it. It's somewhere around here. So I can't remember how I found. I just looked and looked and looked, and then I found it. Okay. Yeah, with icons. Here we go. List of weather condition codes. Is that where I found it? Let's see if that's it. So, yep, this is where it was. Here we go. Okay. So, let's see. What I did was, so I grabbed this, and then we just put, instead of the 10d.ping, we put our props.icon in there. So that's how we did it. Okay. So let's go ahead and just copy that, or maybe I just click on it first. Click on it first, go up here, and I'm just going to grab it. Well, they don't like that it doesn't have everything on there. I just went like this. So go back to the code. All right, so we're going to say image source equals, and then we're going to put curly braces, and then we're going to do those back ticks again like we did before. Okay, and then we're going to put in let's see. Okay, so we're going to put in the address, but instead of this, get rid of that, we're going to put in our $sign and our curly braces, and then we're going to say props.icon. And then we, on the outside of this, we say .ping. And then just for good measure, we're going to give it an alt. Alt equals, let's see, what should we say? Weather icon. Sounds like a good idea. Okay, and then we need to put in, we have to close the tag, the image tag. That should do it. Okay, so that's going to do it. All right, and then next, do we have anything else? Yep, we have one or two more things. We're going to do our description. So let's go props.description, and then our ands, and then our paragraph, and then we're going to say conditions, and then we're going to bring it in props.description, and then got to close the curly braces. That looks good. And then the last one we're going to do is our error. So props.error, and then we'll do our paragraph again. And then we don't have to say anything. We're just, in case there is an error, we'll just put, we don't have to have anything to say. We're just going to have it, it'll just pop up, our error thing that we put in. And that should be it. Close that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. And then at the bottom, we need to go ahead and put our export in. Export default, forecast. All right. All right, let's go back and check it out. All right, so I've got it. Looks good. All right. And then we've got that one. That one looks good. Pressure, humidity. And then our image icon looks good. Conditions. All right, I'm saying it's looking good. Okay, so now that we have it here, we're going to go back to our app.js, and we're going to bring it in here. So what we're going to say is forecast. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in all of those props by using this .state for all of those different parameters. So what we're going to do is say, let's go temperature. Whoops, what did I do? Forecast. Well, let's close it first, I guess, right? Let's close it. And then inside of it, we'll put in all of our stuff. Okay, so temperature. And we'll say equals, and then we'll put in our curly braces, and we'll say this.state.temperature. Okay, we got that one done. All right, and then we're going to do city equals this dot state dot city. And then we're going to do the next one, which is country. Well, sorry about that. Country, and this dot state dot country. All right, and then we're going to do humidity. Then we'll do pressure. And this dot state dot pressure. And what was the other one after pressure? Humidity, pressure, icon, description. Okay. Icon, okay. So icon equals this dot state dot icon. And then description was the next one, I believe. And then the final one was the error. Error equals this dot state dot error. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right, so okay. All right. I'd like to move this over here, I think. There we go. That makes it look a little bit better. All right, so now before we check to see if it's working, I wanted to tell you I made a spelling error, and it's back here on app.js, and it's up here where I had my variables const city and const country, and I had put this, it was this county, elements.county. So we fixed it, and if you haven't fixed it yet, or you might have noticed it when we were typing and you fixed it back then, but if you haven't done so, then go back to app.js and fix it. And then we're going to save, and now we're going to test it and see if the functionality is working. So let's go to our browser and let's try it. Let's try it out. Okay, I'm going to put New York, I'm going to put United States, and I'm going to hit get weather. All right, and it's coming out with all of our data. Cool. For a little styling. So hopefully yours is looking a lot like this, and it's working. If you choose a city, I'm going to choose Chicago, choose a country, United States, and when we click on get weather, we get our weather from our API, openweathermap.com. So it's looking good. All right, so let's add a little styling. I like to start with the box sizing property on all my new sites. So by default, this is in CSS, this is content box, and we want to stop that. We want to make it different. We want to say border box because so if if you say your box is 200 pixels, if it's set to content box, it'll be 200 pixels, but they'll add if there's any padding or if there's a border, the amount of the border, like say your border's 3 pixels, so it's going to add to that value, and it really isn't going to be 200 pixels, so it's going to mess up your math when you're trying to lay out your elements. So if you just change it to border box, then it will do the math for you and include that padding and border into it and resize it automatically, so it will be 200 pixels. And then Another thing that you can add to this is an inherit property or an inherit behavior, so that if you are using any third-party components or plugins, it will inherit the border box. So this is what that looks like. So I usually just add all this to every application. Okay. All right, so now the next thing is, why don't we add a background image? So if we go back to our different components, we got to figure out what we said, what everything is. I think it's in the app.js. What was the class that we gave it? Let's see. Make it a little bigger. All right, so we've got our heading doesn't have a class. Weather, class name weather. Let's see. What about the entire thing is, let's see what it says in heading. Nothing in heading. Forms. And what else do we got? Forecast. Let's go look at forecast. I can't remember what we said. Weather for forecast. Okay. All right, we need to add something. So we've got the weather, but we want the whole container. I want to have a whole entire container. So we got to make one, I guess. All right, so let's do that. All right. So let's see. What I want to do is let's go back to app.js and create a container around everything. So that should be pretty easy. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create a container around the heading, the form, and the forecast. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have our we have a div. So can we just give that a class name? I think we can. Yep. So let's just do that. All right, class name equals, so let's just call it container. Okay, that should do it for that. Okay. So let's save it and go back to our CSS and let's give it a background image. Okay, so now we need to go find a background image. So let's go to Google and look for some images. So I am going to go and look for, some clouds, because it seems like that would be good for weather. Excuse me. Okay, let's see what we like here. Ooh, nice one right there. All right, I think I'm going to try to pick this one. I like that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll just save it. Oh, maybe I'll just get the link. Save link as. Let's just do that. All right, let me get rid of this. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Oh, I just want to copy the link, I think. Let's go back and see what we can do here. Copy image address. That's all I want to do, is just copy the image address. Okay. I'll get rid of that. And let's go back to this. Nope, let's go back to this. All right. Okay, so copy image. Okay, so here we go. Background image. And the URL is, let's put some quotes in there. Okay, let's just get the URL, and that should do the trick. Okay. All right, let's just see what it looks like. We're probably gonna have to do a little adjustments. Okay, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay. All right. Next, why don't we, the background size seems okay. Why don't we make the container not so big? So let's say width is 50%. Okay, and let's put a little border around it. So let's do 3 pixels. Let's do solid. Whoop, and black. No, let's not do black. Let's do, maybe we should do a nice blue or something. All right, let's just do blue. We'll have to find a nice blue if we don't like the regular blue. All right, and just for fun, let's do a box shadow. How about 2 pixel, 2 pixel, and another color. We need another color. Let's go find another blue. Let's go find a couple blue colors. Okay, color picker. Okay, so that would be maybe a good color for the border maybe. Let's do that. Okay. And then maybe we can get a darker one for, let's go a little bit, let's go like, for the border, should we go lighter or darker? Let's go lighter. Well, actually that looks a little darker. That's fine. Let's just do that. Let's go a little further. No. All right, we'll do that one. Okay. Doesn't really matter. All right, so let's add that color right there. All right. And then let's do text align, center. Okay. So we can get this, the titles and stuff centered. And then let's do margin 20 pixels for up and down, and auto for right and left. That should center the whole box. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Let me move this out of the way. Let's go check it out. Oh, nice. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. All right. All right, what else do we want to do? We probably want to fix these buttons a little bit, and we also have to work on the form. Okay, so let's see what happens when we do a call. Whoops. Okay, maybe I want to put a little margin between the buttons, maybe give them a background color maybe, or we want to center the text. But let's see what happens when we do a call and what the form, what we want to do with the form. Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks good. It's all centered. I think that's pretty good. I think we could just leave it like that, but maybe we can just fix these buttons a little bit. Okay. Maybe we should make it, yeah, it's good. We could just leave it like that, but we're going to fix the buttons. Alright, in order to fix the buttons, we need to see if there is a div around them and give it a class name. So we've got the container div, and then we've got the form, and there is a div right here. So let's go ahead and give it a class name of something. And I'm going to give it the class name of form. Okay, and that's around the entire form div. Okay, we already have a class name for the weather, so we can do some styling on that, and that should be it. Okay, So let's go back here and do some styling for the form. So the form itself, what do we want to do? Do we want to have any margin or padding? I don't think we need it. Maybe a little bit. Let's do margin of maybe 5 pixels and a padding of 5 pixels. We'll try that. Okay. See what that does. So it just kind of gives it the buttons a little further apart from each other. That looks good. Okay. Now we want to work on the inputs. So we're going to say, why don't we say dot form input. Okay. Let's see, let's do a little bit of margin. Again, let's do 5 pixels. Let's do text align. We want to get the text to be centered. Text align, center. What else do we want to do? We want to do maybe a little tiny bit of border radius, so they're not square or rectangular, but there's a little bit of something there. Let's do 5 pixels, curve them a little bit, and that's probably it. Let's check and see. Yeah, looks a little bit better. Center text, everything's good. Okay. Do we want to spend time changing the colors of the background? I don't think so. I think it's fine. I do think that we should we can either, when you make a call, it's just going to stay clouds in the background, or we can make it a special color. That's what I did on the example one. So we'll do that, but you don't have to do that. And we might want to just get rid of it if we don't like it. So if we go back to app.js, remember we have a class name of weather that's going to go around all the, when we make the call, all the information that comes back. So let's say dot weather, and let's give it a little border and solid, and let's go pick another blue color maybe. Let's see, what do we want? Maybe some sort of gray. Let's try gray. Okay. All right. And do that. And then what else do we want to do? Let's do a background color. We could do another image, or we could do a solid color. Let's do just a solid color for now. It would be kind of fun to do another image. You can do that on your own if you'd like. Let's go and do another color. How about let's try that. Okay. Let's see what happens. All right, so we can see it a little bit down here. I guess that's okay. All right, let's make one more call and see what happens. I might like to maybe not have that. Just leave it. So, it makes it a little easier to read, so I can see why we might want to do that, or we could leave the background. It's fine. Either way is good. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in your learning of the basics of React. So good luck with your future web development and continued learning. Thanks for watching.